Michael Kollosche, the man that needs no introduction, a name that's synonymous with luxury real estate on the Gold Coast. Thank you for coming. How did you build your brand, I guess, over the span of a 20-year career to the point where when people hear your name, they relate it to luxury property on the Gold Coast?
I think success in this industry comes from just basic principles, morals, ethics, customer service. And I think if the customer wins, you can't lose. And as soon as you take on that philosophy where you put them ahead of your own agenda, you'll build a very successful long-term business.
For any young agents getting to the business, I suppose we all go to our ARICs and listen to a lot of high performers speak, and sometimes their methods or their daily tasks may not be suitable or relate to them. What advice would you give them if they were starting from fresh in 2023?
But age is no barrier to entry into this industry. So I think it really comes down to your level of product knowledge, how much you want to upskill yourself. And it's like any industry, the more you know, the more credible you are, the more you can act in an advisory role as a strategic advisor to both buyers and sellers. So I think it's important that you take the time to really upskill yourself, learn about the market, the economy, trends, and understand your marketplace better than anyone else.
What were some things you probably wish you learned earlier on in your career?
I was fortunate enough to have a pretty successful career from a young age, and that was probably because I adopted a lot of those principles where I never had any attachment to the financial side of it or the commissions. I was more interested in how I could best serve the people and the clients and get the best result and outcome for them. So off the back of that, being genuine and authentic, people knew that and followed us, and I think that that made all the difference.
So when I first started with you back in 2019, I think it was only about 9-10 people in the office. There's now what, over 100?
Yep.
What mistakes do you see a lot of people make, or agents that may not necessarily get to where they potentially could get to?
I think a lot of it is limiting beliefs, the narrative they keep telling themselves. I think the more they learn the industry, it boosts your level of confidence. So, and I see it time and time again. It's an energy. It's the daily habits and rituals that they put in place that make them successful. You see a lot of people who just have a lack of confidence, and probably the easiest way to identify that is when someone does a sale. Typically they'll do 2 or 3 very quickly shortly after because they're on a high, and their level of energy changes, and the daily activities and what they do is more focused and targeted, as opposed to others that are doubting themselves, and self-doubt is usually just through a lack of understanding and confidence in their own ability.
2021 was arguably one of the best years you ever had, and also the business as well. Every single agent that I know that's come into the business, whether they're fresh, whether they're my age, I came in when I was 23, but other agents that came in the late 40s, every single agent has had the best years they've ever had under your banner with your guidance. What do you attribute that to?
Oh, look, obviously there's a number of things there. Our system structure process is better than anyone else. We're very disciplined around the way that we do things, and the experience that we provide our customers. But you'd be naive to think that the market didn't play a role in that. And what will really show up now is the level of training, support, attention to detail that we have, as opposed to competitors who have been fortunate to just have buyers run in and throw money at them through the post-COVID period, as opposed to now where they actually have to understand how to process these things and how to provide the right advice for both buyers and sellers in order to transact with shorter days on market. So I think now is the time where you'll really see the good agents, and as a client, choosing the right agent is more important now than ever.
Yeah. And I think the benefit as well is collectively as a group, particularly our leadership group within Kollosche, we've had 3, 4 good years under you. So the wind is in our sails coming into potentially a changing market. We're not trying to establish ourselves now, which may be a little bit more difficult. But I think to add my 2 cents, with agents improving their business coming under your name, and it's a credit to what you've built. I remember my limiting beliefs when I first started and thinking I was too young and maybe having imposter syndrome because of the fact I didn't have a degree or dropped out of school, and I was trying to negotiate with lawyers and doctors and thinking these people have a right to sit at this table and I don't. But as soon as I came and sat in front of you and I was under the Kollosche banner, I felt like Superman and I felt worthy to be in front of these people because I had that brand behind me. How important do you think being in the right environment is for an agent that's trying to break into maybe that luxury market?
Yeah, look, being in the right environment and the right team is critical. So you can look at Ronaldo going and playing. He's one man as part of a team at the moment, and without the support, he's going to struggle. So it's exactly the same. So if you surround yourself with high performing agents, you'll learn a lot from them. I learn a lot every day from the team that we've got, and we share a lot of things and wisdom and discuss things, and creates that mastermind alliance, which allows you to perform at a higher level, and ultimately you're stronger together. So as they say, if you want to go far, go together.
I think touching on that as well, something I've just picked up on, a lot of people would look at you and think that potentially there'd be some arrogance or that you know it all and that you're trying to rule with an iron fist and it's your way or the highway. Is that the saying? I've had, well, learnt lessons early on, which I feel quite lucky to have at a young age, where I have been at 2 other agencies and I've seen, I guess, what ego can do to a business, what ego can do to a man. And coming, and I'll be honest, coming to work for you, or the first conversation I had with you, I'm thinking, okay, this is the best agent Gold Coast has ever seen, potentially in Australia as well. He's going to be arrogant, he's going to be rude, he's going to be 10 times worse than these guys. And you were the complete opposite. You tend to have a growth mindset rather than a fixed mindset, and something that's always surprised me and I think is one of your biggest traits is the fact that you're always willing to learn. You're always open to listening to people. Even me, you ask me for advice sometimes on the market and I go, why is he asking me? But I think that's what sets you apart from other people or other agents, and that's why you see so much success.
Once you realize you don't know everything, and that you're open to learning, that's when you'll go a lot further. Those that their cup's full and overflowing and they think they know everything typically will hit a point where they start to decline rapidly, and you've just got to be open to that. And I think it's also understanding that we're here to help others, and whether it's the team, whether it's your clients, even the team has to win. Everyone has to be rewarded for effort. So otherwise you find it breeds resentment and a bad culture.
I've come from a standing start probably twice with you. The first time I started and then went away, did my thing, and then came back and had to start again. You trusted me that I was sort of putting the work in and let me go on my way and do it, and it all fell into place at one point. What advice would you give to other agents that may not be under your banner out there, that are young, that may not have the experience or are in a bit of a rut and they need to change? 2023, advice would you give them to sort of take their business to the next level?
Look, I think most people don't understand that there is a gestation period in anything. Like everyone thinks that you're an overnight success in whatever you do, but it's not the case. And a lot of it is building long-term relationships, providing the right advice for people, educating yourself on the market, and taking a long-term approach. Too many people run around with commission breath and all they're focused on is how do I make $1 now, rather than how do I build a long-term relationship that's going to pay dividends for me for the rest of my career.
I think something I can add regarding the commission side of things is I always looked at anything that would have been perceived as a loss or a loss of commission as actually an investment in my knowledge. I saw it as a university degree. So when I first came back after that sabbatical, I had an opportunity to get myself in front of a couple of vendors, and I decided to take Troy on, which is obviously at the time was our top performing agent, and I brought you in on a couple as well. So I had 4 listings, secured all of them. I knew that 2 of us going in was better than me going in. Yes, I was going to be giving up half of the commission, but I saw that as I'm learning off 2 of the best agents in the industry. And that actually set me up. Those 4 sales rolled me into that $2 million a year I had in 2021. I do speak to a lot of agents that put the commission at the forefront, and they look at what they're losing if they bring another agent on. Do you think that mindset's going to work for them or against them?
And look, we've seen it time and time again, and we encourage any emerging agents in our business to collaborate with lead agents on stock wherever possible, so that they learn from each of them different things, different processes, and they get paid on the job to do it at that point in time, because they get a better chance of actually clearing it and selling it and moving on to other opportunities. Whereas they try and do it themselves with a little bit less experience, and they might not get the outcome that they desire.
So obviously, as I mentioned at the start with your introduction, never anyone thinks about Michael Kollosche. All they think about is prestige real estate. How did you enter that market? Was it something that was gradual over time, or did you make a conscious decision to say, that's the property I want to sell, and went for it?
Yeah, so look, you have to make a conscious decision at some point to stand for something. And when you do that, you have to have the discipline to burn the boats or the bridges, so that you forget about the lifelines behind you, and you specifically focus on that. And so there was a time in my career where I was selling cheap apartments and units, houses, 60,000, 100,000, and then I educated myself on the market, the areas that I wanted to focus on, and then built longer term relationships with customers and clients along that beachfront strip, and made a conscious decision thereafter that I wasn't taking anything else on, and focused wholly and solely on that. And then when I got the first opportunity, I turned it into another and another and another, and so on and so forth. But I made sure that the experience that I provided created a raving fan, and that then turned into more deals. And so everyone has the same opportunity to do those things, but it's just whether or not they've got the level of commitment to do it, and the discipline to learn what they need to, and to execute properly. So I see it time and time again. There's haves and have-nots, and some people are just committed to the process. They work hard, they make the right calls, and others come in and just make cold calls and get rejected consistently because they focus on the wrong things.
Your knowledge, your broader knowledge outside of negotiation and sales is incredible. Was that something that you've always had, or you've had to learn and study over time, particularly when you talk about financial markets? This morning we had a meeting about rates. I recorded it because I'll forget it. Well, I think I have dyslexia when it comes to numbers. Was that something, as I said, that you've had since maybe going to school, or you've had to actually study? Because I think what sets you apart from, the average salesperson, you're an advisor, you're a professional, you're not a real estate agent. You know how money works, you know how people with money work. So you can actually have that discussion with someone across the table. Hey, yes, she might be taking a hit of 2, 3, 4, 500K, but then you give them solutions as to how they can utilize that capital elsewhere.
Comes down to just educating yourself. Like, obviously there is so much information available out there, whether you're talking to private bankers, whether you're talking to affluent clients, whether you're reading newspapers, economic reports. You just grab the pieces of data that's relevant, you pull it all together, you decipher that, and determine what is likely to be the best outcome. And it comes over time, but if you want to be a proper advisor to someone, you need to self-educate on that. And we're in a world now where there is so much information and so much knowledge available. You've just got to pull it from credible sources.
I remember something you said once, from very early on, when you had the opportunity to sit in front of these affluent people that live along Hedges Avenue or any other prestige property on Gold Coast. You just sit in front of them, you'd have a cup of tea, and you'd pull as much knowledge and information from them as possible. Is that something that's helped you throughout your life and career, not just in real estate and business? But
yeah, of course, and you've got to not be afraid to keep asking why, and have a thirst for knowledge.
there any particular books you've read over a lifetime that you might recommend to anyone? Any particular people that you might listen to, whether it be, someone like Richard Branson or Elon Musk, things like that?
Yeah, look, there's quite a lot, and I think the message is always similar. And this morning I was listening to the Obstacle is the Way, and it was actually resonated with me on something that happened yesterday, and we had a dispute with an issue in the office with a client that was not related to us, but we were in the middle trying to negotiate an outcome that was satisfactory for everyone, and I just said, let's get through this as quick as we can.
Yeah.
Make sure all parties are happy. They all walk away feeling like the transaction was fair, so that going forward, like the brand comes ahead of everything else, and the clients and their experience, and you've got to take ownership over all those things. And so there was something in that resonated with me this morning. And whether it's some of Bob Proctor's stuff, he's got some great stuff, and he's passed away now, but it's some of our mindset coaches. You can go back to all of the old books, Think and Grow Rich. You can go. There's plenty of different stuff there that you can jump online and look for the 100 best motivational books and self-help books. They'll give you a list of them, but the message is usually the same. Everything in life is plagiarized to some extent. They just take it on board, and then they make it authentic and make it their own. And regardless of which conference you go to, you're going to hear similar things. Which real estate conference you go to, you'll see there is no special sauce. Like, everyone focuses on the basics and just does it really well, and that's what makes the difference. And some people just don't do the work.
Yeah, I think that should resonate with a lot of people, particularly younger agents. Do the basics right. Don't try and change the wheel. And I get people come up to me and ask me about social, for instance, and how I built my profile, and I'm looking at them thinking, you're an idiot. No, because I sold my soul for that following, for one. But two, that doesn't necessarily get me business. And three, if I'm not actually doing the work, making the sales, I can't post. Like, that social strategy is secondary to me. I don't even think about that. But it's amazing how many people put so much focus on that when they should actually be focusing on making the calls, getting in front of vendors, actually talking face to face to people to get the listings, get the sale, and then everything else comes. Then going back on, I guess, the Ryan Holiday book with The Upskill is the Way, he spoke at ARIC, I think it was 2019, and then obviously I
think he did again in
maybe 2021 after, and then you preached his books. And I was telling you the story when I almost had the heart attack. Well, I thought I was having a heart attack in the sauna because these two guys walked in, and I'm like, I can't, and they weren't as fit as me, and I'm like, I can't, they're not getting out before me, and I'm sitting there, and the minutes are ticking past, and finally they went out. I walked out, and my heart rate was like 130 for an hour. I was almost dead. I told you the next day, and what was the first thing you said to me? Ego is the enemy.
Yeah, it is.
So since then, that book sat on my
that's a great book.
Table.
Like, ego is the enemy, and that's what kills so many things. And can be anything from business decisions to the way people operate, the way they interact with clients, the way they interact with their team. It kills culture. So ego is probably the single biggest thing that brings most people down.
Yeah. I know from a personal perspective, as soon as I put my health first and everything else secondary, it seemed that my structures and habits within the workplace actually started to improve. What do you do daily on that side in your personal life that actually benefits you in your work life?
Look, I think it's important to live your life by design, and too many people obviously let this industry run them, and real estate will take every bit of energy out of you, every commitment. It will destroy your life, your health, your family life, if you allow it to. So you have to have structure, you have to have rules, you have to have good habits. For me, I force myself to get up in the morning, 10 to 5. I'm at the gym at 5:30, going for a swim at the beach. I've set a rule this year that I'm only going to work 9 till 5, Monday to Friday, 9 till 3 on a Saturday, and I will not work on a Sunday regardless. If someone wants to meet me with $100 million deal, if they can't do it on Monday to Saturday, good luck.
Yeah.
Because you compromise so many times, and it affects your health, your life. Like one of the team asked me yesterday, but yeah, can we please do that auction on the Sunday because we're going to have a bigger crowd and this is going to happen and that's going to happen and we need to do this. And I said, no.
Yeah.
So we'll do it on a Wednesday, we'll do it on a Friday, we'll do it on a Saturday, we'll do it any other day, but I'm not making an exception. So, and you've got to get to a point where you have those rules. And for me, I have a massage every week locked in on a Wednesday afternoon. I have an osteo appointment on a Friday morning at 6 a.m., non-negotiable. And they're things that I do just to make sure that I look after my health, and they're preventative.
Yeah.
I make sure that I eat well. So we have a private chef that comes in, and that to me was an investment in my health and time, because I don't like to cook, and I like to know that I can get up in the morning, 6:30, everything's there. When I've come back from the gym, and we're eating clean, healthy meals. So he'll come on a Sunday through to Friday. He'll come of an evening and cook, so make my lunches that I can take to work. So everything is putting me in a position where I have success by default.
Yeah.
And I think whatever it is you choose to do, just get the disciplines around it. Do your meal preps at the start of the week. Make sure what you're doing, you're eating well. Make sure when you go out and have a good time, you're disciplined with it. So you might have 1, 2, 3 drinks, but that's it. Set a limitation and say, I'm going to go home at this time regardless because I've got these things on. But ultimately, health is the only non-negotiable we have.
Yeah.
So if you can actually set those disciplines and those habits, and you get your personal life right, and you invest more in yourself and getting to become the best version of yourself, everything else takes care of itself.
Yeah.
Your business will take care of itself. Your family life will take care of itself, because you have the energy to actually put into family. You have separated your schedule so that you've got specific time carved out for them. And I think the best thing anyone can do is book their holidays at the start of the year, in their goals, in their plan, so they know what to look forward to, and they run their business around that rather than letting their business run them.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you get to the end of the year, you haven't taken a day off, you're completely burnt out, you're resenting it, you're having short conversations with people, and you're not effective.
Yeah. That's a powerful statement. You say it a lot. Run your business, don't let your business run you. And it's, as I was saying before, a lot of people change the wheel, but the majority of high performing agents in this country, you all talk the same talk. I remember an interview with Gavin a couple of years ago with Tom Panos, and he said the same thing. He has seasons. So when he's in season, he's on it.
Yep.
Then he'll take a little break, he'll enjoy himself, then he'll come back and he's in season. So again, what you're saying, schedule your holidays so you have something to work towards, you have something to look forward to. Boss, Michael, thank you.
No, you're welcome.
Appreciate your time.
Thanks.